campus beauty invited the whole school to dinner. But when it was time to pay, she made me cover the bill. She thought this poor guy would lose all his dignity in front of everyone. But without a word I directly transferred $100,000. Surprise flashed in her eyes. Could this guy be a secretly wealthy heir? Thinking she could get more from me, she dragged me to a luxury bag store. I just want to test your sincerity, she said. But a cold smile appeared in my eyes. I once made you soar to great heights. And I can make you lose everything just as easily. It turned out that my girlfriend of 3 years suddenly broke up with me. I immediately ran to the dormitory building to find her. Although in the eyes of others I was just her lapdog, I didn't care at all. I even worked 4 part-time jobs. Just to buy gifts to beg for her forgiveness. But her words kept stabbing at my eardrums. Forget about me, Chen Yuan. I roared in frustration, but with a sharp honk of a car. The girl got into the passenger seat of a luxury car without looking back. The blonde guy in the car gave me a contemptuous look. I could only stand there staring at their fading taillights, as cold water slid down my throat. My mind was still in turmoil. Why does genuine love have to be betrayed? Is it wrong to be a devoted fool? Just then a voice echoed in my mind. Strongest devoted fool system successfully bound. I stared blankly at the golden interface that appeared. Suddenly a sharp feminine voice shouted nearby. A daringly dressed silvermenace-haired girl was glaring at me suspiciously. Why are you staring at me? I was about to explain myself. But her personal information suddenly appeared before my eyes. To my surprise, her favorability was -50. If I could raise a target's favorability to 95, I could make them my loyal follower. Didn't give me a chance to think. Black card suddenly appeared in my hand. However, the $9 billion could only be used on women. But part of the consumption can also be transferred directly to my account. Looking at the campus beauty in front of me, I knew this was my chance to test it out. But when I invited her to dinner, her eyes were filled with disdain. As the campus beauty, she was never short of admirers. The number of boys chasing her could circle the track 2.5 times. Let's just let this guy embarrass himself today, she thought. She raised her phone without hesitation. I'd like to treat everyone here to snacks. Why don't you cover the bill for me? But the next moment her phone made a notification sound. Wallet credited, 100,000 yuan. The room fell into a brief silence. The girl stared wide-eyed in shock. This guy with his messy bedhead didn't look like someone who could pull out 100,000 yuan. You can have my contact info. You'll need to come somewhere with me first. The girl naturally took my hand. But when we arrived I realized. Wasn't she just treating me like a fool? Still, her actions played right into my plan. After all, I was here to test the devoted fool system. As I entered the store, a familiar figure caught my attention. It was my ex-girlfriend Lin Shutong. She was holding a bag at that moment. She tried her best to show off in front of the rich guy. But when our eyes met, a complex emotion flickered in her gaze. I lowered my eyes in silence. I had loved her for 3 years. To her I was nothing more than a meal ticket. Suddenly the campus beauty leaned into my arms on purpose. She shot Lin Shutong a provocative glance. An ex-girlfriend? Seems like I came at the wrong time. No, you came at just the right time. Go pick out your gift. She turned to ask the salesperson. Do you still have the spring limited -edition bag? Yes, but there's only one left. However, this young lady is currently trying it. Lin Shutong raised an eyebrow. Who is this woman with him? But she could only pretend to flatter the blonde guy. Brother Junkai, my birthday is coming up. The blonde guy looked puzzled. Didn't you just have your birthday? That was my lunar birthday. I still have my solar birthday, you know. How about we buy it together? The man frowned. Be reasonable, Shutong. You know I don't like materialistic girls. You're not with me just for money, right? Her face turned pale, but Shu Lele snatched the bag away. Sorry, if you're not buying it I will. I didn't waste words and directly pulled out my black card. The campus beauty's favorability instantly rose by 60. I was overjoyed in my heart. At this rate, winning her over wouldn't take more than a few days. The only downside was the cashback amount being so small. The clerk's discussions echoed in my head. Why do some people look like rich heirs but are so stingy? Truly, you can't judge a book by its cover. Lin Shutong silently lowered her head. No one knew what she was thinking. But what she received was the campus beauty's mockery. Some people's taste in choosing partners is truly garbage. Before she finished speaking, she clung to my arm. Thank you, hubby. You're the best. But Lin Shutong, usually so proud, now had tears welling up in her eyes. I know that in your eyes I'm just a person. She recalled the messages Yongren had once sent her. She could only bury those words deep in her heart. But the feeling she had now was like watching her personal belonging being taken by someone else. She shoved me aside forcefully. But my heart remained completely unshaken. 3 years of devotion, and yet you treated me like a dog. Now you willingly degrade yourself to be a rich heir's plaything. But the system's voice suddenly rang in my ears. Lin Shutong designated as target number 2. I knew well that a good horse doesn't graze old pastures. But the campus beauty gave me a seductive smile. Hubby, where should we go next? Where? Of course we keep shopping. You're not satisfied with just one bag, are you? I pointed to the nearby Givenchy store. Except for those 2 bags. Pack up everything else and charge it. Carrying bag after bag, the campus beauty's eyes were now filled with admiration. But her gaze also showed a hint of worry. If we buy more, my rental apartment won't fit all this. The man's words almost made her jaw drop. No problem, I'll buy you a new house. Wait, what? I'm just kidding. Seeing her favorability drop by 5 points, I realized I must have scared her. After thinking for a moment, I stepped forward again. Shu Lele Jr. at the Academy of Arts. Height, 165 centimeters. Weight, 49 kilograms. Scorpio. She likes horror movies but is afraid of walking alone at night. If I didn't genuinely like her, why would I be so blunt? She froze in place for a moment. But all this was just information I read from her profile panel. I turned to the store clerk and said, charge a 500,000 yuan membership card. Send her the new arrivals directly in the future. If you really feel bad about it, you can repay me with your love. Hearing this, she shoved me away. But her favorability still increased by 30 points. Something about his demeanor. It feels like he has the refinement of a wealthy heir. Hearing the bystanders' murmurs, I let out a cold laugh. I didn't know I had that kind of aura. You guys sure love to flatter. You bought me so many things. Why didn't you buy anything for yourself? I have no money. I spread my hands, speaking the truth. After all, I can't spend even a cent of these special funds. The next moment she grabbed my hand. Now it's my turn to buy you a gift. With her enthusiastic moves, I found myself dressed in brands I'd never worn before. Even though I knew she was a gold digger, at that moment I couldn't help but feel touched. A familiar figure flashed through my mind again. At the very least, I needed to make her taste the life of a devoted fool. Dressed in a completely new style, I appeared before Shu Lele. Her favorability increased by another 5 points. Looking at her expression, I felt a bit awkward. Do I look weird dressed like this? But she pressed her fingertip to my chin. Not at all. I brushed her hand away. Dealing with a woman like her, I couldn't rush things. Let's meet again next time. Not long after I returned to my dorm, my roommates were shocked by my new look. When they found out about my breakup with Lin Shutong, the dorm leader even tried to console me. Listen to your bro's advice. These kinds of women are out of your league. If you really hate me, just delete me. But if I delete her, where else can I farm favorability for cash? Suppressing my disgust, I typed my usual insincere reply. But her next words made me hesitate. She explained that her mother was seriously ill and needed medical expenses. Without a second thought, I transferred the money. Lin Shutong stared at her phone in shock. But she hesitated and didn't accept the transfer. My roommate curiously asked, was it that rich guy? But a trace of disappointment flashed in Lin Shutong's eyes. No, it was my ex-boyfriend. Does he really think I'm that kind of person? She immediately sent the man several messages. She even asked about my relationship with Shu Lele. But what she didn't know was, in my eyes she was nothing more than a textbook example of a green tea girl. If you don't like it, why play with someone else's heart? I frowned and turned on Do Not Disturb. This way the rate of earning gold coins would slow down. Staring at my phone, I fell into deep thought. I wondered if tipping streamers could use the devoted fool funds. With a mindset to give it a try, I started topping up my account. As I scrolled, I stumbled upon the streamer Xiaomi striking seductive poses. She was a dance streamer with over 1 million followers, an angelic face paired with a devilish figure. I casually created a username, Lonely Cigarette. But what greeted me was a slew of mockery from the Dukes. Her top supporter has spent over 1 million. With your level -3 account, you'd better find a job instead. I merely chuckled. Spending money here was faster than buying handbags. As I pressed the gift send button, Xiaomi made a heart gesture with her hands. Thank you, Lonely Cigarette, for the super rocket. But the next moment she froze in shock. This was just the explosive beginning. In less than a minute I sent out 100 rockets. Even for a top streamer with 1 million fans, this was a rare occurrence. That was a total of 1 million yuan. Normally this only happens during guild competitions, when guild leaders flood votes to help their streamers. But guild money has to be refunded in full. Still, the chat was full of doubters. Such snobs looking down on people. I let out a cold laugh. If I'm showing off, I'm going all in. Across the platform, every streamer's chat screen was flooded with an endless rain of rockets. A burst of astonished exclamations echoed through the building. Boss, something big just happened. An unknown tycoon just tipped 10 million on Xiaomi's stream. The boss spat out his drink. Are you sure that's not one of our planted supporters? Meanwhile, in the streamers' lounge, several female streamers were flushed with excitement. That peerless tycoon, Lonely Cigarette. Just a casual tip from him is worth years of our salaries. Only Xiaomi remained immersed in joy, wondering if she was dreaming, until the operations team raised a sign. The boss wants you to secure Lonely Cigarette at all costs. She gave a sly smile. How could she possibly let such a big spender slip away? She blew a kiss to the screen. Thank you, Brother Cigarette. Brother Cigarette, I'm logging off in 5 minutes. Check your private messages, okay? But by then I was already fast asleep. The next morning the dorm was filled with exclamations. Yesterday a tycoon tipped 10 million. It even made the trending list. But I didn't pay them any attention. Why after tipping so much? Had I still not bound Xiaomi to the system? With confusion I opened the streaming app. But the sudden flood of private messages was overwhelming. My lonely cigarette account inexplicably gained tens of thousands of followers. What shocked me more was that my 3 usual slacker roommates suddenly started tidying themselves up. You 3 heading to meet a date? Today's the general education class. We can see the goddess Zhao Yuki up close. That name was of course familiar to me. An image of a goddess Minos-like figure immediately appeared in my mind. She was an almost excessively outstanding woman. Her family background was beyond imagination. To many guys, she was even more dazzling than a celebrity. The layers of halos surrounding her would make any ordinary person feel inferior. But that was exactly what I wanted. Because being hard to win over meant she'd yield big cashback. Behind me curious glances followed. Did he dress up just for you, Shutong? Probably. Lin Shutong's face flushed slightly as she thought. Just hold on a little longer. Maybe my mother's medical expenses will be covered. But all I felt was disdain. Thinking back, I was truly blind back then. Right now my main concern was how to bind Zhao Yuki to the system. But a sudden voice caught my attention. A senior flanked by 2 lackeys approached Zhao Yuki. Hey gorgeous, mind adding me as a friend? The next second someone grabbed his collar forcefully. It was her roommate Wu Xiaofei holding a pen. Kid, are you looking for trouble? The guy stammered in fear. Misunderstanding. I just wanted to join the student council. Scram, you sleazeball. But another voice called out from behind her. Senior, can I add you as a friend too? Enough already. Compared to Wu Xiaofei's anger, Zhao Yuki's face turned red with embarrassment. The man in front of her showed no fear at all. Do you want to join the student council too? The girl nearby looked at me with disdain. But I just shook my head. I'm not interested in that. Then why are you adding Yuki as a friend? Isn't it obvious? I want to date her. The surroundings erupted with mocking laughter. This guy is doomed. But a slight blush appeared on the girl's face. Sure, I'll scan your code. The atmosphere in the classroom instantly froze. Why would the aloof goddess suddenly act so proactively with an unknown male student? What they didn't know was, Zhao Yuki had encountered countless guys trying to hit on her. Perhaps her own brilliance was too dazzling, leaving most guys lacking confidence in front of her. But this boy was straightforward about expressing his feelings. Interesting, a unique one, Zhao Yuki murmured as she looked at her phone. Meanwhile Lin Shutong's face turned ugly. Her heart was growing increasingly unsettled. Right after class my roommates surrounded me. Yuanzi, you're amazing today. You actually got Zhao Yuki's contact. Can you introduce her friends to us later? I rolled my eyes. We're not even close yet. But at that moment a mocking voice came from behind me. At least you know your place. It was the guy who almost got humiliated earlier. I was about to retort with a few insults. But the next moment a figure in white appeared. Brother Yuan, you're so slow. I've been waiting for you forever. Everyone was stunned as the beautiful girl approached. It seemed there was no need for me to fight back. The girl shyly pouted. Don't you think my outfit looks nice? It's all bought by you. I grabbed her hand and said, the outfit is nothing compared to you. Looking at our intimate interaction, the guy from earlier was on the verge of tears. His humiliation was complete. But the next moment the sound of crying interrupted his misery. Did I bring this upon myself? Lin Shutong's tears were flowing uncontrollably. Why, it should have been me from the start. Who does she think she is? Ignoring the disappointed girl nearby, as if to show off deliberately, Chen Lele handed me a drawing board. I stayed up all night drawing this. Feeling her proactive gesture, a bittersweet feeling welled up inside me. This was the first time I had ever received a gift from a girl. But as I looked at her smile, I couldn't help but think of the girl I once worked so hard to please. In her eyes, had she ever truly seen me? What's wrong, Chen Yuan? The campus beauty seemed a bit flustered. Did I do something to upset him? But the man's expression remained dark. Unfortunately, I was no longer the naive fool I once was. Why did you give this to me? There was no emotion in my gaze. She became a little flustered. If you don't like it. But I snatched the drawing from her. If I stop getting gifts this good in the future, how will you make it up to me? It was just a playful jab at her careful thoughts. Having been betrayed, manipulating others now came naturally to me. Feeling the warmth from her hand on my wrist, the campus beauty's favorability was soaring rapidly. Little did she know a cold smile crept onto the man's lips. Trying to manipulate me? Now they're just tools for farming coins. Nothing more. Just as my thoughts wandered, the spectacled man suddenly appeared. He confronted Shu Lele with a sharp tone. Didn't you say you were going to get your hair done? Who's this guy? I've been chasing you for so long and haven't even held your hand. Now you're hugging him? Looking at his teary minus-eyed expression. That devoted fool vibe felt all too familiar to me. But Shu Lili's face turned dark. Stop overthinking, Wang Yu. Did I ever tell you to chase me? You always think taking girls to movies is enough? Her words were harsh. Even I couldn't help but frown slightly. Looking at this junior, I felt like I was seeing my old self. Thinking of this, I abruptly pushed Shu Lili's arm away. Chen Yuan, what are you doing? The girl shrank back in surprise. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Is playing with boys' feelings fun for you? I don't care about your past. But I feel like you don't respect me. For yourself. The drawing turned into shreds of paper in the air, leaving her no chance to explain. I strode away without looking back. By now I didn't care about her favorability anymore. As long as it vented my frustration, that was enough. But what I didn't know was, Shu Lele picked up the shredded drawing from the trash can. Her eyes were red, and faint tears glistened. She had initially planned to feign indifference, to make this man fall hopelessly for her. But who would have thought he would turn on her instantly? She suddenly felt an ache in her heart. Tears streamed uncontrollably down her face. Perhaps she didn't even realize it herself. Her mind was now completely consumed by Chen Yuan.